Hey, welcome to the First Issue Club. We're your weekly comic book podcast where, just like Sue Storm, we love a good read. Here's what we're going to do today. Talk about first issue comic books. The entry point into brand new journeys that take you to destinations unknown. What are you going to find there? We don't know. I just said they were destinations unknown. How can you know the unknowable? By seeking the unseekable. Finding something truly surprising, truly intriguing, unlocking a part of yourself. Isn't that the utility of art? When you get down to it, is finding something new about yourself. Someone articulates a feeling in something that creates some introspection for you. Social commentary. It's all in comics. One of the finest art forms there is. It can simply tell a story or it can break your dang brain.
I can immediately tell when Mike D finds his bit whenever he does these opening monologues because he digs in his heels. He's like a bone. He's like a dog that's found like a tasty bone. He's just like, oh, there it is. I got it. I'm going to latch onto this one and we're going to go for it.
I'm Mike D.
I'm Greg.
And I am Vargas.
We three are the First Issue Club. We are going to, instead of the new, normally we would talk about some comic book news, but I think we're going to replace it with just Fantastic Four trailer talk and see where that gets us. And then,
is that not news though?
It is news.
Yeah, it's pretty big
just
news.
It's going to be the only news because I think that's going to take the whole portion that we normally reserve for several topics. We'll just talk about the one thing. And then beyond that, we'll deliver the core premise of the podcast, and talk about some actual comic books and some first issues that have come out, if not this week, recently in the last couple of weeks. Some first issues we've caught up on. Greg and I were sick last week, so Vargas stood in and did a solo show. Bravo, Vargas, for manning a singular, one-handed adventure.
Yeah, Vargas, you kind of did yourself a disservice.
Why?
Because you did such a good job by yourself. It makes Mike D and I more comfortable leaving and not showing up and having you do it on your own.
You got this one, buddy?
Yeah, you got it right, Vargy?
I'll sign off right now.
Yeah.
if everybody seriously was fine with, a 20-minute episode or whatever, I'm happy to
you would be king of the castle. Get the parents out of here. Let me do my show. This was your plot all along, little boy. You wanted to sneak in the First Issue Club, get us comfortable, get us nice and lazy, fatten us up, and then slit our throats while we sleep.
You found me out.
Then it's gonna be the first Vargas show.
He's always calling us veal under his breath. I always wondered what that meant.
Oh, you little succulent piggy.
I am always saying that.
You are a sick freak.
This podcast is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company's Space Camper Cosmic IPA. I'm enjoying some right now. Beautiful, hoppy aroma. An IPA that I love ever so dearly. Thank you for making this podcast possible, Boulevard Brewing Company, via the Space Camper Cosmic line of IPAs. And thank you, Space Camper Cosmic IPA, for being so delectably tasty.
Yum, yum, give me
Anyone
some down on my tum-tum. It's not a
There we
beer.
go.
It's a journey.
That was the chime in that we were waiting for. And now, let's get to it. This was probably in the title of the show, knowing me. Let's talk about this Fantastic Four trailer.
The best way to optimize SEO is to give you little bastards what you want.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
First, let me say.
There's a prelude to this conversation.
There's a prelude. I love what we're about to do, but I detest trailer reaction videos online. Meaning, I hate watching people like us watch something and then I have to watch what they feel. It's the most idiotic thing that has caught hold of people on the internet, and I don't understand it. It's like
Should we not do it then?
No. Okay, no. We're breaking down the trailer.
No, Greg doesn't like when it's side by side and one half is somebody's face and the other half is the trailer. And
Yeah.
their face is going,
Yeah.
oh, let's go!
Let's
go!
I get what you're saying. Okay.
It's not content. It's not content.
Yeah.
The media literacy is out the fucking window. It's really boils my beans.
So
It's like-
Vargas Reacts is shutting down next week.
It's
and,
like watching someone eat a candy bar and you're just like, oh
Yeah.
man, that Hershey bar looks fucking good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of videos on YouTube like that I do find utterly worthless. That like there's so many that are just like 16-year-olds putting on Duran Duran and being like,
Oh
First time I've
God,
ever-
yes.
first time I've ever listened to Duran Duran, and they're
Yeah.
just like,
First-
okay, whoa, cool. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. It's actually like cool. And it's just like, you've got no opinions, no takes, no context to say it's like this or
Right.
unlike that. All you can do is be like, whoa, when that drum beat came in, that was actually pretty cool, I guess.
You're not even like a professional in your field. You're not even like a professional musician or
Yeah.
teach musical theory. You're just some shithead with an internet connection.
Yeah.
And so are we, but we have more complex takes.
Well, we have takes. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Last time we did this was with was it the Captain America trailer?
Superman.
Oh, Superman trailer. And we just like went down at like beat by beat. Do we want to do that again?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into it then. Beat number 1. Elevator doors open. Where are your guys' minds at?
Let's go!
Oh my god.
You can from there.
We're in an elevator.
It's almost masterful how they set the tone there, because it's just like, first of all, elevators exist in this universe. Huge. This is huge. Because we know it's not on Earth 214 where there's only stairs. It's an only stair universe, and that's huge because in that universe, Galactus is a panda. Okay. And if you'll notice from the trailer, we never saw Galactus's face. Okay, all right. I'm kidding, of course.
Okay, I did really enjoy this transition because you've got this motif of the opening of the elevator doors, and then the frame of the trailer kind of moves inward and creates this like Super 8 kind of frame that has like rounded corners, and it feels like an old projection of home movies, and that really sets the motif of this entire trailer. And I think I'm going to get back to this throughout the entire thing, that this whole thing of home movies, being at home, like some of the casual nature of some of the things happening in this really install that the whole idea of this is to show the family dynamic of the Fantastic Four. And that's such a crucial component to the comic books that I think no one's ever really like done right in movies up to this point. That they're all kind of like heavy action movies that don't leave an opportunity for all the charm that Fantastic Four brings. And the Fantastic Four is like 70% charm.
It's like if Leave It to Beaver got superpowers.
Yeah,
and none of the movies have gotten that right. And
yeah,
like I was joking before about tone, but like this is a movie of a time for a very pointed reason.
Yep. So as soon as the elevator doors open, you're seeing this like super 60s mod decor. And it's homey too, right? So you've got this interesting juxtaposition of like, I was just in an elevator, so I'm in a massive building, and that elevator has taken me directly into a living room, not like a hall to an apartment, right? So you kind of immediately know, oh, I'm in the Baxter Building, at least as a big fan of comics, that you're like, shit, this is like right out of like 60s futurism,
Yeah. This is
Fantastic
Kirby.
Four. Feels, very Kirby, very Jetsons. If you've ever been to like, or if you've ever heard of, there's a beach town called, what is it? Wildwood, New Jersey.
Okay,
And
I've never heard of that.
Wildwood, New Jersey. If you like this kind of motif of 60s futurism mod decor, then you got to Google this town and the skyline of it, because they instilled this like some strange laws about preserving Wildwood, and its place in time. And so there's all these old hotels that look right out of the Jetsons, and they have like the same paint, same everything, and it is just locked in time, when that was such a like in this minute moment in the like late 50s, early 60s, when that was such a fad to do these like very angular, boomerangy, super futuristic looking buildings. Like this Fantastic Four movie definitely has that kind of 60s Jetsony vibe. I've already talked about this like in incredible nuance for just being like 5 frames into the trailer.
Yeah, we are 6 seconds in.
All the things we've already picked up. Okay, so it starts with Sue and Stretch, and they're giving a tour of the Baxter Building in kind of the style of one of those White House Christmas decor first lady tours, where they walk around the house and they're like, so this is where the like cooks prepare all the cookies, and we decided to go with like this motif for this room. Like, really, it definitely feels like of a time.
Yeah.
And
they're definitely giving a tour to someone important.
And again, just like Sue kind of being the host of this makes it feel like, kind of, even though she's a superhero, she's also kind of like the housekeeper that's like making sure the family is taken care of and things are as they should be in the house, and all the right decisions have been made by a woman of like good taste. Like, it just has some of these like charming nuclear family things injected into it that are really interesting. They say a couple things that do make it sound like they're the perfect family unit, and you don't know. At this point, it's like, are we putting on front for like the tour that we're giving that's maybe televised, of like, how does the Fantastic Four live in the Baxter Building?
Right.
But another thing we've gathered by this point is that the Fantastic Four have been around for a good long while. We know who the Fantastic Four are. They're famous enough that they're getting a TV special that's like, how does the Fantastic Four live? What is their house like? And again, to pull on something that's very of the time, that it feels like those old House of the Future things you used to see in like the 50s, where they would have these like 50s model homes, and it would be like, this is what houses will be like in the year 2000.
This is called a microwave. It'll boil a bottle of water in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it like totally has that kind of vibe and feeling to it. And they mention like, we always do dinner at the same time. It's an appointment, a must, every single night.
We never miss it.
We never miss it. Then we get a cool flash of like a vintage Marvel Studios logo, and I love the way that looks. And I think it's cool that like a lot of these companies won't let you play with like the brand or the logo or any of that stuff, but everything that shows up on screen associated with this has this tinge of like retro 60s and like Art Deco kind of flavor to it. And I love that they've just like made a really strong choice to have this kind of exist in its own standalone time and universe, from the production company logo all the way down.
Well, and I also love that like it says it's presented in Fantastivision.
Yeah, right.
So like it kind of gives like another wash of just like this is like dipped in Epcot Center, like in
Yeah.
1970s. It's a small world feel, and I
100%.
dig the vibe so hard.
Our next scene, Herbie zips around while Ben is making a sandwich, and he's like full on the thing in Fantastic Four gear. He's wearing this like Fantastic Four branded like leisure shirt,
He's like
which is
he's
like
like in a Under Armour Fantastic Four
yes,
pullover thing, which looks fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that's the number one with a bullet thing that I pulled out of this trailer was how good the thing looks. Like he doesn't look like a pile of plastic rocks. He doesn't look like a CGI monstrosity. He looks like Jack Kirby drew the thing and it was translated into like real life.
yeah,
It is crazy how much they leaned into it, like big eyebrows and all, and it
so good.
It looks awesome.
Yeah,
because I don't think there's like that uncanny valley thing of like. I think what the other thing interpretation suffered from was like they did look like giant piles of rocks with teeth, and it's like I don't want that. I want an Alex Ross painting on my big screen. That's what I want.
Well,
Make it.
And the whole point of like doing a movie is so that you can have an actor like emote and express on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of what makes the thing so personable is that he's like personable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you lose so much of it when it's like rock lips moving and you can't, there's no eyebrows, or the eyebrows just look like other rocks on somebody's face,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it doesn't, we're not getting that. We're getting an actor's interpretation onto this CGI character.
and I think they did a good job of picking like a really mundane moment to spend with the thing, because he tastes some dressing that Herbie made and kind of like lingers with his pinky in his mouth for a second and is like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep, we're doing it. That's great. Tell you what, though, gonna add a little bit of garlic. Not saying it's bad, just need some zest.
Yeah.
And he's very like underplayed, and like it's kind of a sweet, charming moment where he's treating this like little robot cook
Herbie
like very, very delicately.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like a lot. Also, this is another thing that we always see in media executions of the Fantastic Four is early Ben Grimm, who is kind of really gruff, kind of an asshole, kind of a bruiser. And by the time you get to like the middle run of Fantastic Four and the Ben Grimm we've spent the most time with at this point as comic book fans is a much gentler hearted Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see that being conveyed and the nuances of it. And like you were saying, Vargas, that helps communicate the emotion and character of this through an actor's performance more than just like being a like heavy Jersey accent with like, I'll kick your ass.
Anybody know what time it is?
Same one-liners over and over again. So I'm excited to get like a nuanced performance and him to just be like a stable member of the family. They make this really sweet line later on in the trailer that's like, even before he was the thing, Ben was our rock. That he's kind of like the heart of the group, which is something that again just like really pulling through, honors the comic in a really sweet way to frame Ben.
Well, and it's gonna make like the moments like that are gonna make the moments in the movie where he's in peril feel more real, right? Because like I don't care if a rock monster gets beat up by Galactus, but I do care if Ben Grimm, who's nice to the nice robot, gets beat up by Galactus.
Yeah.
I do care if Ben Grimm, rock monster, does get hurt.
Yeah, right? I mean, there's no difference, but there's a difference, right? Like, you have to care about the characters first.
Let's talk about the design of Herbie really quick. So Herbie like buzzes and floats around.
He's got
like
reel-to-reels as eyeballs.
And he's got reels-to-reels as eyes. I love that there are all these like that.
But that's that retrofuturism, man.
And floating around, so but yeah, has so many analog touches and is doing little like whir click while he's working and processing things. So cool, like such a rad aesthetic choice. He also kind of feels like an Atari, right? Like I think he had like some like wood paneling with the like white plastic with him when everybody was making technology that kind of they were trying to make it fit with the furniture of the time. And Herbie kind of feels like this mix between technology and furniture with these little like analog mechanisms. And I just like, what a great aesthetic decision.
Yeah, he feels like one of those, like a floating version of like a 1960s quadraphonic stereo cabinet.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. Okay, moving on, we go to, you hear like I want to say
I think it's
monologue from Mr. Fantastic from Reed, where he says, before we went up for the first time. And then you see, like Greg mentioned, clips of like the rocket ship. There's a bit of a montage that gives you like a quick kind of origin story throughout this moment he's having with Sue, that it's like before you turned invisible, before we did this, that, and the other. And then you see clips of them being interviewed on TV through like a documentary or something that's been made about them with like old newsreel footage. And again, I think we're going to get through an origin story really quick and spend the majority of our time in a world wherein the Fantastic Four have like been a part of the zeitgeist for a good long while, which I think is refreshing.
Can I say here, and the video I made for TikTok kind of took off because I brought up this point of it shows everyone's powers in this movie
except Reed Richards.
Yeah, you never see Reed's powers
because he doesn't have any.
Oh,
because you think so?
I know.
You know so.
I know so because he's jealous because he doesn't have any powers. He wants to go back up. He wants to go back up to get powers because he's egotistical and a maniacal freak.
Oh, so he's the maker.
I'm not ready to say that he's the maker, but he's gonna shove everyone back up into space so that he can get powers, and that's how they're gonna get to the MCU. But there's zero reason they would leave out Reed using his powers in this trailer.
There's one reason. It's disgusting.
It's sexy is what it is.
I think it's just, I just figured it would be like just to like leave some sort of reveal for like a next trailer or something.
Nah.
But I did think the way they framed in the trailer the sentence before we went up the first time, definitely seemed like, okay, there's been subsequent times that you've gone up to space to try to do something, and you're gonna continue to do it again and again. Like it's a statement that doesn't necessarily have a finality to it.
It's also not a throwaway statement. That sentence was orchestrated beautifully.
They did show two separate spaceships. They showed the classic like pyramid, the 3 rocket like silver classic, and then they showed a different one early in a different scene, whatever. Here we go.
I'm sharing with the boys right now a particular scene from the trailer. What we're seeing is Reed Richards at his dual chalkboard going through calculations. This is a man possessed, okay? This is a man who is without powers, who wants powers. You'll notice these little things right here are wormholes. He has found portals through, the negative zone, if you want to call it, or other dimensions. This actually says exit right here. So like he's trying to find wormholes through other dimensions to either find power or to go back to the zone where they all got their powers. I'm not saying Reed Richards is going to be the villain of this movie, but he may very well be the overarching into Secret Wars hidden villain.
Reed Richards could be the bad guy of Secret Wars, just like it was in Hickman's run.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Doom was more the bad guy in Hickman's run, but via the Maker.
Another conspicuously absent. It was
Figure.
Dr. Doom. Yeah, figure. There's no Dr. Doom in this movie. Not a reference. Not a nudge, a wink. Nothing.
God, what an interesting take, Greg. I never would have thought that he
thank you so much.
wasn't going to have powers.
It just struck me as weird because you highlight all of their other powers so much and nothing with Reed.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. Not even a mention of it of him saying I can't control the ones that I got. It's too it's too pointed. The removal of his powers in the trailer. Now I may be like tinfoil hat Greg right now. I'll own up to that if it's true, but it just seems odd.
All right. Well, from here we see Johnny for the first time, and he's like bleach blonde. What do you think of his look, and how he looks flamed on?
Hunk.
I was kind of taken aback by how blonde he was. That almost seems like something that can only be achieved by bleach, and something that feels like almost out of place in this like 60s nuclear family thing. But I guess there is the whole like Johnny Storm's a bit of like hot shot, knows he's cute, cares a lot about his appearance, but the flame version of the Human Torch, I think, looks really nice, where it's got a little bit of a bigger
flame,
a bigger flame, like a larger man on fire thing, and less of like, here's a person who's like, I can still see their face, and they're like this like little glowing orange thing. Like, again, it feels a little more like the comics in that he's like engulfed in large flames.
It read to me kind of the same way that they draw, like the way that these characters were drawn when they first appeared. You think about like that classic cover of Marvel Comics 1 with the original Human Torch, and how it's like thick black lines with red streaks in between them. It kind of reads that same way. Obviously, this is like live action, and you can't do that exact kind of thing.
Well,
but his body is like red and black with flame around it.
Yeah, this is maybe a version of it that looks least corny.
Totally. Yeah,
and it
looks more like real flame.
I don't remember if the other ones had like a trail of fire, but like right here, these are his feet. And like he still has like a huge flame tail, so like he really is like a bonfire brought to life and like just jettisoning through the sky.
All right, in this mix of clips that we're still on, you also see Sue going in and out of invisibility. Any takes on that?
I loved it.
Yeah, I liked that they had it be
great still, Greg.
I stopped on one of Pedro Pascal doing the best acting job he has ever done,
caressing the face of a person who's not there. This is like dying to be a meme. It's like practicing your first kiss.
I like that they had her like fade from side to side or up and down.
Yeah.
You know, like, because that's how she's always depicted in the comics, right? Is like, you know,
Partially.
half in and half out.
Yeah.
Well, this scene in particular, this is when they first get him, because she looks terrified.
Yes.
That she is like going in and out of invisibility.
Yeah. And the thing that I love about it the most is that she kind of blurs in to like clarity. And she also has around the blur, she has this almost like prism effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that looks sick. That you kind of have this like dispersion of light with rainbowy kind of colors that radiate around the transparent areas or create this kind of aura around her. And that's such a good way to like show us something on screen while someone is invisible or going invisible that feels more like something is happening there instead of just like pure disappearance, right?
Uh-huh.
Or something that might translate on screen to just like, we turned down the opacity on one of the characters. You know what I mean? Like that's going to look like corny. I think that like some of the natural light refracting things that they added to that are really interesting and add a layer of complexity to this that's like so good.
Well, and that'll help tie in her, at least aesthetically, her bubbles, assuming she does barriers.
Yeah, that when she does the shields and stuff in the comics, they draw those, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're invisible and clear, but we as the reader can see that stuff. How do you do that in a movie?
Yeah.
You have them have this cool light refracting thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Which if you've got like an invisible shell, does that make sense that like maybe the mechanism for things being invisible is finding a way to bounce light around something?
Right.
And if that's the mechanism for her invisibility, it makes sense that like light would kind of skew and maybe do some weird things. So it does have a sense of realness to the aesthetic they chose for it that I'm just so in love with.
Yep.
Okay, we ready to keep moving?
Let's go.
Big explosion in the sky as kind of the family looks out is one of the next like big crucial things that we see past this like nice montage of a bunch of different shots. There's Sue in the kind of refractory look and feel
she's
of some of
making like
powers.
her force field thing, so that's rad to see that she's like actually gonna be a major player in this movie.
Yeah.
Kissing. Johnny flew all the way up into space and there's ran out of oxygen. Okay, here's our big explosion in the sky.
Okay.
Do we think this is like what do we think this is?
That's got to be Galactus arriving.
No,
The coming of
I think
Galactus?
it's Silver Surfer showing up.
Oh.
Because Galactus shows up during the day, we find out.
Sure.
Like by the end of the trailer. But
He's around during the day, but does he show up at night?
He's sleeping. He has to get his beauty sleep. I don't think this is Galactus.
This is the four of them not suited up. Like they're at an event or something on a balcony.
Mm-hmm.
They look like Ben looks like he's in a suit or something maybe. And the sky is just like, the night sky is just like, there's a massive explosion all over New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple real buildings that we associate with New York. Like there's, you see like the Chrysler building.
I
but
don't
there's
know
also
what this
some like
building is.
Yeah, some other like made up sci-fi world buildings. There's like a Space Needle looking thing.
I love this. I love that kids are dressing up as the Thing for like a Halloween. We're assuming it's Halloween right now. Like that's the state that the Fantastic Four is in this world. Is like
they're so famous.
They're huge. They're like the Beatles.
And no kids are dressed up as Reed.
Mm?
Well, no, you'd have to have 2 or 3 kids all stretched out
in a trench coat.
Yeah.
I love this car.
I want to stop on this car. This car is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life.
I want 4 of them.
Yeah. Like someone made the most beautiful concept car you've ever seen in your life. And I mean, it feels so much like that retro futurism, and even the other cars people are driving. Like you see some cars that like aren't superhero cars that fly by in that scene, and they're also absolutely beautiful.
Gorge.
So,
Yeah.
do you guys think that this is going to become the Fantastic Car?
Yes. There's
I
no
think
way
so,
that
too.
this doesn't
Yeah.
turn
Oh,
into something.
Like it turns into like a flying thing, you
Yeah.
think?
I think like 100%. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if I could read what it said there, because there's no way that doesn't say Fantastic Car.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right?
It has to say Fantastic Car.
Right there. I mean, for me, this blows the Batmobile out of the water.
It's so rad. If you told me I could pick a replica of the Batmobile or of this Fantastic Car, I'm choosing this Fantastic Car.
I mean, this
100
car
times
does
over.
something to me like sexually. Like this, like really
Yeah, it's a
arouses
really
me to
sexy
look at.
car. Yeah.
Like nothing about this car makes sense, and that's why I love it. Like
Totally.
the front headlights are stupid; they don't make sense, but I want them. The scoop in the middle, aerodynamically, does not make sense. It looks like it's like completely concave here. There's no bumper.
You know what? Like this doesn't fall in the trap of like you remember like the Mandalorian Vespas that were like look like KitchenAids.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like this somehow avoids that trap where these are so retro futuristic and of the 60s, but also has like all the hallmarks of a cool 60s concept car.
Yeah, I mean, if you took that early, like a '63 Corvette, and like turned the dial to 12, that's what this is.
Here, this is like something that like Ed Roth would make. I'm surprised like Rat Fink isn't popping out of the windows and driving this thing with a clutch that's like 4 feet in the air. I will bet my entire life savings, which is $13, that these wheels retract and this car floats off.
For sure. For sure.
It's built like it's built like a ship that flies.
Yeah. The headlights look like turbines. It has
just the scoop of
like
how
turbines.
the car goes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's got wings.
Yeah. And the I'm obsessed with the bubble windows.
Yeah.
It's driving me crazy how cool this car is.
Yeah, it's so
when this
sick.
gets made into a Matchbox, I'm going to buy one.
Hell yeah.
From here, we see like a lot of quick flashes of the city crumbling and the team whizzing around. Okay, and can we pause on this? There is an old man.
That's John Malkovich.
Long white hair and a massive white beard.
Hello, Reed Richards. It's good to see you.
It is John Malkovich, or it looks like John Malkovich.
It is
John Malkovich.
That's confirmed John Malkovich.
Yeah.
Do we know what character he's playing?
Speculatively.
Yeah, Gandalf, right?
Nathaniel Richards.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, from the future? He's come back?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Or from another timeline?
Yep.
We think that's Nathaniel Richards.
Yeah.
Weird.
And it's not and this isn't going to be like Galactus in his human form because there is an actual
Franklin Richards or Nathan.
Either not Franklin. It's not going to be Franklin. There's also a rumor that he's like a 2-bit villain, like called like the Red something. But no one knows for sure who he's going to be.
One of the things I don't get,
the Red Ghost.
So he is like, so in the we've only ever seen Kangs in the MCU,
right?
As they all look the same, right?
Yeah,
Whatever that actor's
name was. It's been Jonathan
was.
Majors.
It's been Jonathan Majors. So it's weird to have this universe's Kang be John Malkovich.
No way it's Kang.
It can't be Nathaniel
This is the Red Ghost who people are speculating that he will also be.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why don't people just say Kang? Why do they say Nathaniel Richards?
Because there has to be a distinction for people. Because
they're the same, right?
Kind of. Well,
Depends on the timeline, I guess.
Oh God, we only have an hour, folks.
That'd be cool.
Who is John Malkovich in the Fantastic Four?
Who is John Malkovich?
That was pretty good, Andy.
I've got a pretty good Malkovich.
I'll say.
As a time traveler, father of Reed Richards is Nathaniel Richards.
Yeah. Okay. I pulled the website here. It says 3 characters that he could be. Dr. Franklin Storm. When the Mole Man resurfaced with his army of moloids, something.
Yeah, I want him to be Mole Man.
Dr. Storm told the trio that only one man could perform the operation to save Sue's life. Oh, and that's Dr. Storm. So he's like a doctor. It's not going to be that. Nathaniel Richards.
Sure.
Which is, I think, a pretty good bet. And then the Red Ghost.
It'd be sick if he was Franklin.
Dr. Ivan Kragoff, a.k.a. the Red Ghost, a Soviet scientist and communist introduced during the space race and Cold War between the U.S. and the USSR. I mean, that for the time would make sense to introduce the Red Ghost.
Sure.
Planning to claim the moon, hell yeah, Kragoff launched a ship into space to bombard himself and his comrades, the apes Igor, Miklo, and Pitor, with the same cosmic rays that gave the Fantastic Four their powers. The cosmic rays transformed Kragoff and his super apes so they could do shape shifting at super strength. Too many S's.
Now, how did Marvel not call us to play Super Apes?
Later, Kragoff would align himself with the supervillain quartet, the Frightful Four. And that is MODOK, the leader, the Mad Thinker, and the Wizard.
Sure.
The classic Marvel group, the Frightful Four.
Okay, how does this trailer finish out?
We're getting too far down a speculation road at this point.
Yeah, let's get back to where we're supposed to be.
Okay, so John Malkovich, we're not sure, but we have some guesses. And then at this point, we've got the Galactus shadow.
Sure.
And then we see the back of the helmet and kind of get a scope for the scale of this character because they've put the Lady Liberty, Statue of Liberty, in frame with Galactus, which I appreciated. Like, as someone who's like looking forward to like what this could possibly look like.
As someone who's obsessed with scale, I like that they gave me
or how literal to Jack Kirby they were going to be. Like, I wanted Galactus in a massive Jack Kirby helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And
it fills me with such joy that he has this giant fucking helmet on.
And I want him to be stomping around Earth. Like, I like because we've seen different versions of Galactus in the comics, and sometimes he's like as big as a planet, and sometimes he's small enough to where he's like, obviously people are like ants by comparison, but he's like big enough that he could like stomp around a city Godzilla style, right?
Right.
Like,
well, the power cosmic lets him adjust his size.
He got burned.
Is that? I don't know if I realized that.
Yeah. So he can. I mean, power cosmic is super powerful, and he can pretty much be whatever size he wants.
It's like his version of Ozempic.
Yeah.
So Silver Surfer doesn't have enough of the power cosmic to do that.
Oh, he doesn't want to.
Yeah, he might not want to.
He's an enlightened soul.
Silver Surfer at some point would find some opportunity to make utility of making himself planet-sized.
To ride some pretty sweet space waves?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just know for a fact that the power cosmic allows Galactus to adjust his size.
Buddy, I just work here. I don't give a shit. Okay, so this scene in particular is pretty important because Lady Liberty's here. So we know that, one, France exists.
Yep.
True. Yep.
And World War II happened?
Yeah.
Well, so we know for a fact that France exists. They helped us win the Revolutionary War.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. so it's aligning up that okay, we'll get to it, but I have a theory on all this, but
okay.
But
if you want me,
I'll just end this sentiment with I like the scale of Galactus that I'm seeing, and I'm very excited about the costume based on the small glimpse we get of it.
Totally.
theory time.
Okay.
We're not on the 616.
No, obviously. They've already basically confirmed that, Greg.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Okay. Just I needed to get that out of my head. We're not on the
First of all, 616 is only the comics universe. The MCU is a different universe altogether.
Okay.
So this is
whatever that universe is, we're not in that universe.
Third universe. Yeah.
Because all the movies have happened in a world wherein Fantastic Four has not previously existed. So if this is set in the 60s, it's going to have to have been in another universe or in a universe wherein the timeline was like reset.
Or
because of time traveling or something.
Or this could just be 2025 and the universe looks like the 60s.
That's true.
Retro
That's
futurism,
interesting.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Ready to move on?
Yeah, let's get the shot of that ultimate nullifier.
You see the group standing on like a pedestal here. And it's super posy, and everyone's in their costumes. This is the first time you see everyone in a lineup wearing blue and white leotards. And there's a bunch of like arrows pointing to them, so it looks like they're on a talk show or like,
look like action figures.
or they host a variety show or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
Like it looks like promotional material for their like products they're selling or something.
And even with this, Reed's costume is different.
Yeah, he's the only one.
He doesn't have the white collar.
Yeah.
What is going on with this? Something is. This is so wild. I'm into it.
So jazzed for it.
So his costume is not made of unstable molecules, while the others are. Is what you're.
What else would the
It's
white
different.
donate?
Alluding to?
It's different.
Okay.
I love the mock turtlenecks, though. That is
the turtlenecks are cool.
So choice.
Yep. I love the boots.
The belts.
The 4. Love the 4.
The Thing doesn't have gloves. Poor Thing. He deserves gloves.
No, he doesn't. Imagine putting those things in gloves. He wouldn't get anything done.
The next thing we see in the trailer is the reveal of the Fantastic Four subtitle, which is First Steps. Now let's talk about this for a minute. What the hell does First Steps mean? One, it's like, I understand, again, we're constantly talking about like, they found so many interesting ways to get the motif of family into this. And this is just something that feels like having a kid, or maybe like the Fantastic Four has been born and they're going on their first big mission. So they're taking their first steps as like a group, right? But it also doesn't feel like an origin story, right? So what does First Steps mean here?
I think they're gonna do it's First Steps, like obviously they're alluding to one small step
Valeria?
for man.
No, like Neil Armstrong
on
the moon.
Neil Armstrong in space.
On the moon.
And also I think they're gonna cross over across multiverses, and that's another big step.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, first step into a multiverse.
Yeah.
Yep. That could be it.
Those were the two things that I equated the title to.
Yep.
It's interesting, the line work in the 4. You know what I mean? Like, that's an interesting choice that they did there. They could have just made it all white like the rest of the logo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that means anything.
Looks
like
more spacey.
Like that's the trajectory of the ship or something. I don't know. Just seems weird. But yeah, I thought First Steps was just like in the same mind frame as like the space race and taking steps on a big adventure and exploring unknown realms and worlds. Like this is the first step into the MCU.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is they are now entering. they're here, folks.
Part of me was wondering if this was like a baby reference. Like maybe the movie takes place over the course of like 5 years and we see Sue get pregnant and Valeria is born. And we like Valeria plays a big part in Hickman's Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be the stinger at the end, right? They cross multiverses and she's pregnant.
Yeah. Oh God, the power cosmic got me pregnant.
I mean, well, she arrives in the MCU and then finds out she's pregnant. What does that mean, right?
The door's wide open.
Yep.
And I'm shocked how well they pulled it off. If that makes sense, like
totally,
it's incredible what will happen when you take things out of Sony's hands.
I think in Hickman's Secret Wars, Valeria thinks she's the daughter of Doom. Isn't that right?
I think both the kids think that they are Doom's kids. I think that's
either
right.
that or he raised them and they were like, your father died when you were young. Like there was those two things. So that could be
Reed was lost in the negative zone.
That could be something Doom, they play with in this.
Doom was definitely their father figure.
Yeah. Oh.
Which still no Doom.
Yeah, no Doom.
No Doom.
Can you have a Fantastic Four, no Doom?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Only other thing we see in this is the release date of July 25th. And it says, welcome to the family. Family, family, family.
So cute.
So much family that this could be a Fast and Furious sequel.
It is all about family.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Hell yeah.
We're almost at an hour.
Oh, for real we are. Holy crap.
Let's talk comic books.
Let's do it.
Any other closing thoughts on that? I feel like we've said everything there absolutely is to say.
Big thumbs up. I'm excited.
Yep, same. Approval.
Yep, I think 2025 is going to be a good year for movies, for superhero stuff anyway.
Yeah. All right, I read Bronze Faces #1. This is out on Boom Studios by a team of writers and an artist named Tefenki, who I loved the art. I thought it was so dynamic, had such a swing to it.
He did
really beautiful.
Good Asian, right?
Through. Yes, same artist that did Good Asian. This book follows a group of Nigerian friends who reconnect in London at an exhibit that is showing Nigerian artifacts. And these have just been acquired by like the English Museum or the British Museum of Art. And we find out later on in the book that one of the friends from Nigeria is the son of the person who created these masks. And they were basically stolen or taken during like a colonial era. And in this interim that flashes back between like 15 years before this all happened and the present, where the British Museum has like acquired all of these things that are essentially stolen, and they've invited this guy's son to the gallery showing as like a guest of honor to be like, see, we're honoring the culture and heritage, that these people are having drinks at this museum showing and are getting in their feels, feeling resentful, thinking back on all the things that have happened to them throughout their lives and how this is like their rightful legacy, or if someone is going to be profiting off this, if these are going to be ever broken up or sold, like we should be the ones to profit off of it and not these colonizers, and they hatch a plan to steal the masks back, which is something that happens in within the comic itself. And in doing so, one of the things that they steal is this list of all the like cachet of things that have been taken, and it's got like an itinerary of all the different places all the different acquisitions have gone to and how they've been broken up so far already. So not only did they steal what they felt was rightfully theirs already, now they're going to go down the list, we're led to believe, and kind of reverse Indiana Jones all their cultural items of cultural heritage back
Cool.
to their rightful owners and the rightful lineage. So really interesting comic, and it was very beautiful, colorful. I loved the lettering style in it, like a lot of quirkiness in the art style and the coloring, and obviously a really fun story with like a super relevant kind of heavy lens. That's it. Big thumbs up from me. I really liked it.
Do you know if this is an ongoing or a limited?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's definitely got like, it's got, I feel like it's got legs in a way that it's like they've got a very finite goal in mind. I would assume it's like a 6 or 12 issue thing if I had to guess.
Sure. Yeah, I mean it doesn't sound like it is going to go on for 30 or 40 issues, but
Yeah.
anytime you get like an action adventure like that, I would read 30 or 40 issues of stuff like that, you know?
I kind of feel like there is a desire for the ongoing to return. That people are like, it makes sense that like it's maybe a better business model for everybody to do these short 6-issue bursts that you don't have to like invest yourself into or commit for buying for years over years, and not a lot of comics have the staying power to get past 6 issues and stay profitable, especially in a world where we've been kind of trained to expect 6 issues and on.
Mm-hmm.
And move on, I mean. But yeah, I think people are missing the indie ongoing. And that's why like people like Jeff Lemire were like, you know what, I'm going to do my next series, this minor arcana thing. I'm going to commit to it being like at a minimum like I've got like a 25 issue arc planned.
Yeah.
Or normally Rick Remender kind of goes into his comics with being like, yeah, I've got like a 25 issue book 1 ready to go. And then does it make it past book 1? We don't know, but we're at a minimum going to make sure that we're getting the big Image prestige hardcover, that we've covered enough issues for at least one of those guys.
Yeah. Well,
so you'd love to see it. Not a lot of creators, unfortunately, have the cachet to commit to get a publisher or to commit themselves to the cost of doing a 25 issue series because the risk is so high.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you're just going to lose your ass.
Not every book can be Saga, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah.
So along those same lines, Mike D, I read Finders Keepers, which is a Horizon Experiment book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost, I mean, it is a lot of that same DNA. It's a reverse Indiana Jones story where a woman from Puerto Rico gets a degree in archaeology and ends up signing up for a internship at a museum that's showing one of the biggest cultural artifacts in Puerto Rican history, and she ends up stealing it and returning it to her homeland. And it's so much fun because you get all of those like Indiana Jones archetypes where like the bad guy is incredibly boisterous and boastful and
Yep.
you native dogs can't whatever, right? And then like totally gets his comeuppance. There's like that sort of like, I mean, the story is very grounded in that it's about returning an artifact to its cultural homeland, but then you also get some of that woogity woogity wee woo wee woo Indiana Jones stuff. There's like a supernatural element in there too. And I have just been bowled over by all these Horizon Experiment books.
Man, they're so good.
They're
So
fantastic.
awesome. Because I also read Motherfucking
Sacred
Monsters.
Damned. Oh, I haven't read that one yet. I read The Sacred Damned and the Manchurian.
Yeah, I haven't read Manchurian or Moondogs.
Moondogs is really cool.
Yeah.
Moondogs. Is that the one I'm thinking? Maybe I'm thinking of that. What's Sacred Damned? Is that another one?
Moondogs is the werewolf one.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
Sacred Damned is the Constantine kind of like. Yeah, that's the other one. There's five.
It's the Islamic Constantine.
Yeah, Islamic
Yes.
Constantine. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Motherfucking Monsters is about a group of black kids that get pulled into like an Evil Dead type situation. They're college kids and they go to a fraternity party and all the white people try and sacrifice them to the book and turn into demonic zombies and have to get killed, and it's awesome. Absolutely pick up all those Horizon Experiment books. In fact, they're releasing them all in a single trade for $10.
That's fantastic. That's so smart.
So go pick those up.
If we haven't said this yet, and most of the people listening to our podcast are probably familiar with what the concept is already, but the idea with those books is you're taking popular stories from culture, like a James Bond kind of pop culture figure, and the idea is to race swap the character in a scenario wherein the entire essence of the character changes based on the character's like country of origin or ethnic background or race, right? So like the motivations of a James Bond are going to be totally different than the motivations of a spy who was born in China.
Right.
And just those like that small twist completely overhauls this popular archetypical story about like a British spy. And the same with, what you just mentioned, the Indiana Jones type story, but with a native people completely changes the idea. It looks like on the cover there's like a Spanish imperialist kind of colonizer.
Yes, that's the family of the bad guy who like owns the museum that she works at.
Got it.
And books like this is what makes comics so great, because there's enough of an elevator pitch that is like in the zeitgeist that you can tell somebody, it's James Bond, but he's from China. And it's like, oh yeah, I definitely want to know what that story is. Right.
Yeah.
And they're just genius. Nobody would make that movie, but absolutely that comic book will be awesome.
Yeah.
So, Motherfucking Monsters, Finders Keepers, Moondogs, Manchurian, and
Sacred Damned.
Sacred Damned. Thank you. All worth picking up.
And the one we just talked about, Vita Ayala wrote.
Yes, that's correct.
Is one of my favorite writers.
Yeah. Additionally, since we talked about Rick Remender, I read The Seasons, which
I don't know anything about that one.
So as I was reading it very much felt like the whole book was like the opening of like a Pixar movie, because the main character, Spring Season, is chasing a letter. She's like a mail carrier, and she's chasing this letter through town, and it's like floating through the breeze, and she gets in all these like scenarios and stuff. And then I got to the end of the book, and there's a letter from Remender, and he says that he is trying to write it as an homage to like Tintin and Miyazaki, and that's exactly how this book reads.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's this mystery surrounding, well, two of them. The letter ends up being from her sister Autumn, who tells the four sisters are all named after the seasons.
I know.
It's called the seasons.
I know. You gotta take the good with the bad.
But Autumn has discovered where their parents went. Apparently, their parents are missing. And that Spring is in danger, and she needs to get in touch with Summer and Winter to protect them and figure out where their mom and dad went. Additionally, there we get this story, or these little vignettes of this sinister circus that has taken over this city or entered this city, and the entire city has become abandoned. People are everybody's dead. And we don't know
the town one time,
and we don't know what's going on with that. So at the beginning of the story, as Spring is roaming through town trying to get this letter, all whimsical, we see that circus is rolling into town. So there's a mystery of this parents, who these kids are, and what this circus is, all rolled into one. And when you get that, knowing that this is going to be an homage to Tintin and stuff like Miyazaki, written by Rick Remender, I mean, this is going to be awesome. This book is going to be so good. And given that conversation we had, Mike D, a couple months back about how good Miyazaki is, the timing is so good. You've got to pick up this book if you haven't put it on your order yet.
I think I'm going to watch Blue Heron again.
Sure. Totally. Do it.
I really liked it. Was that what it was called? The Boy and the Heron.
Boy and the
not
Heron.
Blue Heron.
Yeah.
Blue Heron's a local Kansas City place.
Yeah, that's or former. Is it still around?
I don't know if it's still around, actually.
I don't know if Blue Heron's still around. It was a Chinese place, right? Or Korean food?
There was a jewelry store.
I'm thinking of Blue Koi.
Blue Koi is a different, yeah.
Greg, did you read any books?
I didn't. I've been watching the Fantastic Four trailer every day for 7 hours. So it's been really taking up a lot of my time. It's where I'm getting all my hot takes.
Okay, well, I read 2 more books. I'll fly through quickly.
Go for it, man.
I read Alien Paradiso, which
I was wondering about this one.
It's another super refreshing difference in an existing universe. There's this resort island that no guns are allowed, whatever. But you get this story about this crime syndicate who's goes to this resort to do a swap. They're getting drugs or whatever. And the people that show up to do the exchange are infected with aliens. On top of that, there's a pair of detectives that are trying to stake out the deal. And they get caught up in it, but it feels like the first movie in that it's a limited environment where these humans have to fight these aliens, but it's swapped because it's like on Earth.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's not spacey. It's like a casino, like that these aliens are inside of. So the aesthetic is a lot different. And to see criminals have to fight aliens is really interesting too. I would absolutely recommend. I won't go into a lot of detail because I know we're over time, but
I just want to see one alien get obsessed with the penny slots, and it's just just pulling a little lever. Yeah.
You know what? It's funny. We always see aliens in dystopian future isolated areas, and that's kind of the essence of the story. And maybe it's against its nature to put the aliens in like a highly populated city, or maybe that's too expensive of a movie to make with too many problems.
Dude, that's what the TV show is going to be.
Yeah.
Is it really? Okay, yeah.
Aliens
I think
come to Earth, and I'm terrified to watch it.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. Because even in this one, like, if you're saying they take over like a casino or something, that's something we've never really seen before.
Yeah, and they're like,
and that's like isolated on an island, right? But it's still like there's a scope to it that's much larger than your typical alien thing.
Yeah, it was incredible. I read the first 2 issues; they're both out, and man, it's awesome. I'm absolutely loving all these alien comics that Marvel's putting out. So
yeah.
And the last book I read was Ice Cream Man 43, and I know we're first issue club, but I picked this one up specifically because this is the 1-page story issue where they got this list of creators: Grant Morrison, Patton Oswalt, Zoe Thorogood, Jeff Johns, Jeff Lemire, Kelly Sue DeConnick, Matt Fraction, all these different people to all write 1-page stories. So every page in this 32-page book is a self-contained story.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Ice Cream Man's done a really good job about doing like interesting formatting things and fun conceptual covers, and they've got a really creative team.
Yeah, W. Maxwell Prince is a really smart guy. Some of the highlights in here are Kelly Sue's story was really, really interesting. It's 1 page, so just go buy the book and read it. But her story was great. And then Grant Morrison's story at the end was not so much a story, but just a feast for the eyes, if you will. But I would definitely recommend for $3.99, anybody who's interested in anthology horror, go pick this up because it's well worth it.
Cool.
I never would have imagined when we first covered Ice Cream Man, 4 years ago, that it would make it to almost 50 issues. It seemed like such a novel series, and it set itself up for like a limited run kind of thing. But it is like attached itself to the comic book community in a really unique way of like, it hasn't sold out into like a gimmick. It's not like getting stale. It's not relying on 100 different variant covers each issue to like make it sales. It's just like solid storytelling, unique perspectives, like all-star, like you just showed, Vargas, an all-star cast to like just pop in every once in a while. Like there's some kind of fucking jazz quartet like into like a concert hall. It's like, it's such a, it doesn't happen often in comics. It really is lightning in the bottle of just like, you know, Maxwell had this idea and it's just like kind of worked at it, and it's just kind of, it was allowed to grow into what it is now. And I just think that's amazing.
Yeah. Anthology horror is back big time.
I blew it on the first issue of that. I bought the B cover because I thought it looked cooler.
Yeah.
Always go A, just in case.
Always go A. That should be the new first issue club tagline.
Always
the
go
B cover.
A.
Always
that's
go
not worth
A.
half of what the A cover is.
Yeah.
You know what we really messed on? The haha cover that has Donald Trump dressed as a clown is going for like $400.
Yeah, I bet it is.
So stupid.
Funny.
All right.
All right. We did it.
We did a big ol' episode.
We did it. That was an hour of Fantastic Four and 13 solid minutes of comic books. Listen, if the analytics didn't tell us otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. But you guys love it when we talk about trailers, so enjoy. I hope more movies come out so we can do that, because I have a house payment to make, and this helps. So until next week, bye.
Bye. First Issue Club podcast is brought to you by Boulevard Brewing Company, the people responsible for our favorite drinks, the Space Camper Cosmic IPA family of beers. Our show is edited and produced by our hosts Mike DeStacy, Greg Lichtag, and Andy Vargas. You can find us on social media at First Issue Club, And you can join the supporters who keep our humble podcast going on our Patreon at patreon.com/firstissueclub.